if anybody asked you if you take medication or used to take medication, what did you take? What would you do if somebody asked you that question?
I personally have shared, but then I always follow it up with, the different things work for different people. This is my experience. Always bringing it back to, ownership of that, being like, that was my experience, and then also about like how I made the choices that I made, and like more about like that process about, how did I get the information? How did I come to how did I come to certain understandings about things without any kind of influence on what someone else might choose, because that's up to someone's own, their own choices and their own information, and you can support that. I can, help you find some resources if you like, or, help you, support you to speak with your GP about things if you feel like they're difficult conversations to have, just really being able to bring it back to I'm here to support you in your own journey, rather than giving you advice about like what works for me, and that influencing their choices.
Yeah, I think that's good. What about you, Reese? What has that been asked of you, and how do you manage that?
Yeah, look, it definitely has been asked, from another person's asked about my experiences with my own medication, but kind of very similar to what Chris said. I mean, you have that ownership, when you are talking about your own experience, but you're also wanting to let the person know, well, hey, this is me, and that might not work for you. Why don't we like explore different things that might actually be more helpful for you in the future, whether that might be wanting to come off medication, or thinking that you might need more medication, like and kind of guiding the people down to the roads, like Chris said, like GP, psychiatrist, caseworker, all those types of things. I think that's probably the way I've really handled it myself, to be honest.
Yeah. Deb, what about you?
Pretty similar to what Chris and Reese have shared, but I've also always say, what works for me won't necessarily work for you. But I also, I can't help myself, but I throw in medication alone will not get you maintaining a recovery or moving forward. We need to, that's just a piece of the pie. I have, and this is again, depending on the relationship that I have with the person, whether it's staff or people that we support. We have had discussions around different symptoms that we experience, and in a beneficial way, but also in a humorous way. So, for example, I take mirtazapine, which makes you extremely hungry. And I've talked to some staff that have had similar experiences. I'm not saying everyone that takes that particular medication does, but we've been able to laugh about waking up with cheese and bacon balls stuck to your face, or an ice cream stuck to your pillow or something, because you've raided the fridge at midnight and not even remembered. So that sort of stuff, I think that's okay. But always, saying and again, supporting that person. We have currently someone that wants to look at a different option to a very hardcore antipsychotic drug, and it's not about us convincing them to do that. It's just being supportive along that journey and accompanying them to and encouraging them to self-advocate if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, I think that's really important. But see, Deb, that humour that you use there, like, it's humour, but it's also your lived experience. You're using your lived experience purposefully in right there in that way. And I just think that's beautiful. Like I have this tremor because I've worked really hard at not. I'm no longer taking lithium. But unfortunately the damage has been done. And if I talk about that to people, I always say, but it doesn't happen to everyone. You may not have any side effects or whatever, but I had quite severe side effects. So I've worked really hard to come off it, but I always used to say, but I make a joke of it, I see it as a friendly drug, it waves, makes a good cup of tea, good martini. And I used to say something about boys' school talk, and I'll never do that again, but but so you can certainly, I think using humor can really break down barriers, can't it? And it can help people not, like, while what they've been going through is serious, absolutely, I'm not saying it's not serious, but it can help them feel not so serious about themselves, I think.
Human.
It's that we've talked about it between us before, and let's do a film about that, but it's about that changing the narrative, isn't it? Changing the way you look at the narrative as well.